Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how I can create this shader in Blender. So let's get started. First let's delete the default cube and add a Suzanne. Go into side view and rotate it like this. Move it up and place it around here. Now Control 3 and set the render to 2 and shade smooth. Add a plane, Shift A, plane, and S10. Make sure that the head touches the plane on both sides, like this. It doesn't matter if it intersects with it. Go to shading and set the color to environment texture. I'm going to put a link to the one that I used in the description. Now go to rendered view. I'm going to use Cycles for this. And with Suzanne selected, let's press new. Now add a mix node and plug it into the base color and the roughness. And set this color to something red or whatever you like. Now also plug the color into the normal and add a bump node. Now add a displacement, this one. Plug the displacement into the factor here. Set the mid-value to 0.3 and add a layer weight. Plug the facing into the height. Now with the layer weight selected, let's press Ctrl T if you have the Node Renderer add-on installed. It comes with Blender by default. And delete the image texture. Also connect the vector to the blend. Connect the vector to the normal and add a Musgrave texture. And set this to 4D, and now let's set the scale to 4.85. And we also need a wave texture. Oops. This one, no. Wave texture. Put it here and duplicate it. And now plug it into color 2. Connect this vector to the vector up here. And here connect the factor to the scale. Set the distortion to 5.2 and the detail roughness to 0. Now for this one, let's set it to rings and saw. Set the scale to 25. And the distortion to 3.8. Set the metallic to 1, and now we have something like this. One thing that I forgot to do is to use the object output. Now I recommend that you save. I'm going to call it tutorial. And one thing that you can do is to increase the subdivisions if you have a good PC that can handle it. Otherwise you can leave them at 3, but if we put them to 6 it will look even better. So one last thing that I'm going to do here is to change the shader to something more like this. Now select the plane, go to the drop down here and select the material. So I ended up setting it to this color here. You can type in the hex code if you like. Let's go back to layout mode, select Suzanne and hit delete on the numpad. And let's press Ctrl Alt 0 to use the camera. Press GZZ to move it like this. And I think I'm going to set it somewhere around here. Now let's select the light and let's make that a spotlight. Go to rendered view set the strength to 50,000. And now let's go to the object constraint properties and add a track 2. Select Suzanne. Go into top view by pressing 7, and don't worry, if you have something like this here, we won't see it in the final render. Now let's press Shift D with the spotlight selected. Make sure that the duplicated one is selected and divide the power by 2 and duplicate it again. Now let's go to the render properties, color management, and set the view transform to standard, and the look to high contrast, and the exposure to -1. I think this makes it look a little bit better. Now let's add an empty plane axis and go up here and set this to faces. Now if we press G and Control, it's going to snap to the faces. Now let's change that back to increment, select the camera and enable depth of field. Select the empty as the focus object and let's set it to 0.5. I think this looks good. And set the blades to 16. Now let's save again and hit F12 to render. So that's it with the tutorial. I hope you liked it. Please let me know what I should do next, and I'll see you next time.